Hey YouTube, welcome back. Today we have this problem. We continue about our series about JavaScript fundamentals. So we have a problem called execute cancelable function with delay. Given a function called if in an array or arguments called args and a timeout called t in milliseconds, return a cancelable function called cancel fn. After a delay called t, fn should be cancelled with args passed as parameters unless cancel fn was cancelled first. In that case, fn should be never called. Okay, so basically in this whole problem we need to create a function that executes a given function after a specified delay unless a cancelable function called cancel fn is called before the delay expired. The cancel function should prevent the execution of the delay. So before we start to solve this problem, there is two things that are important we should talk about: the closures and timeout, set timeout, because I guess we will use them. The closures basically is a JavaScript. JavaScript is one of the most important aspects. I guess you will be like, there is a chance of 95% that you will be asked you'll be asked about closures. So closures basically is a combination of a function and the lexical environment within which that functions was declared. The lexical environment consists of the variable function and scopes and available time of the closures creations. Basically, when a function is defined inside another function, a closure is created. The inner function returned a reference to the variable and scope of its outer function. When the outer function finishes executing and returns, the closure is still intact with its captured variables and scope chain. The closure allows the inner function to access and manipulate the variables of its outer function, even if the outer function's execution has completed. This behavior is possible because the closure maintains a reference to its outer functions. So let's just take an example. I guess with example this will be way more easier. So if we have this example, in this example basically the outer functions defines an inner function called inner function. Inside the inner function we reference the outer variables, as you can see, which is declared in the scope called in the outer function, which is declared in the outer function scope. When we call closure function, which is this one, it looks the value of outer variable, even though the outer function, the main function, has been finished executing because we return directly. And even though the outer function has been finished executing, this because the inner function has created a closure that captures and remembers the outer variables from its lexical scope. Maybe you've been asked what is the use of the closures. So basically the closures has three use cases. That we have data privacy. Closure enable data encapsulating and data privacy variable declared in the outer function scope are not declared accessible from the outside, providing a level of some sort of level of security and preventing the unified modifications. Maybe you have another thing for functions factories. Closures basically can be used to create functions factories by returning an inner function from an outer function. You can create a specialized function with predefined behavior or configurations. The last thing, we have event handlers. This is one of the most famous things. Closures are commonly used in event handling. Event listeners often reference variables from their outer function, allowing them to access specified data when an event is triggered. The second thing that we want to talk about, it will be I guess the mic voice is too high. Let's just I guess this is better. I just have decreased the sounds. I guess this is better. So the second thing we talk about the set timeout, and basically the set timeout is a built-in JavaScript function that allows us to schedule this execution of a function after a specified delay. Basically, it can take infinite number of arguments, but it's mainly two. The first argument is the delayed function, and the second one it would be the actual delay. So I will not give you example because I'll start to fix it. I'll start to fix it directly, and you will see the set timeout. So let's just have const. Let's say the const time out ID, because we want to make sure that we are remember each function. So set time set time. Okay, so before I start solving the problem, I'll say what I'm going to do, so you will not be outside of the scope. So basically inside the cancelable function, we use set timeout to schedule the execution of fn after the specified timeout t, and the fn function is called using the apply method to pass the arguments. And we talk about what is apply, basically what is apply, append, and so on and so forth, but just give me a minute. Additional of the set timeout function returns timer ID, and which is sorted in the timeout variable. I guess you didn't understand anything, so let's just go to the code directly. I guess I'll type the code. After that we could just see what we're going to do. So basically we have the set timeout function, and the set timeout takes two arguments, the actual functions and the delay, and we have the delay called t, as you can see. The actual function, we have a function, and we will call this function, and this function will basically call fn or apply fn, and I'll tell you why we use apply. I guess we will talk about what is apply. I will talk about what is apply because I guess it's an important thing with args. And I will have const called cancel fn, right? Yeah, const cancel the fn, and this one it will equals a function, and this function is calling the timeout ID, but we can just say that clear timeout, clear timeout, just, and we clear the timeout if we wanna cancel, and we return the cancel fn. Oh, sorry. And I guess, yeah, that's it. Okay, so okay, it doesn't look good. Let's see why. Oh, it's 81 millisecond. The best one 40 milliseconds. It's only like 30 milliseconds. It's not a big deal at all. So it doesn't make a lot of things, because it's of 1 actually. Time complexity is of 1. So basically here we have after basically here, after the cancel function is defined, which calls a clear timeout with the timeout to cancel the execution of the delay function, because we can cancel it if we want. Finally, the cancel function is returned from the cancelable function, and yeah, that's it. If you want to know what is apply for, so we need to talk about something called call, apply, and append. And basically in JavaScript, call, we have 3 ways that we can use a function: call, apply, and append. These things are methods available on function object that allow you to manipulate how functions is invoked and what the value of this will be inside the function execution. So let's just talk about apply. So the apply method is similar to to call actually, and I will talk about the call in a bit, but it basically it allows you to invoke a function with a specified of value this and an array or or uh, or um, or any array like object as arguments. So if you can see here, we have this, but just we don't put this, we don't care about this, but and also we say we send an array and or like array like object, which is args. Actually args is array like object. We have something called call, and basically the call is method is used to invoke function with a specified value of this argument of this, and arguments passed individually. The apply it's been the values are passed like an array. And we have something called bind, and the bind method is used to create a new function, and a new function with specifying value of this without invoking the original function immediately. It returns a new function that can be called later in the syntax. So yeah, this is the difference between the three one of these, and I guess in the future we could just make an in details video about them. So that's it for this video. I hope my source was quite good. If you like my content, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss a video, and see you in future problems.